Hey guys, welcome to Chief Concerns, our first show of the offseason. We're here with our hosts, former tight end Jason Dunn and former cornerback Eric Warfield. Today, we're recapping the Super Bowl, which I'm sure a lot of us have been in somber moods in the last few days. I know I have. But before we get into all that, before we get into recapping the Super Bowl, we want to recognize the loss of longtime NFL head coach and former Chiefs head coach Marty Schottenheimer, who lost a long-time battle with Alzheimer's. Eric, I mean, everyone who's listening to this show and just knows you knows, you didn't think you were going to have an NFL career, but this guy, Marty Schottenheimer, was one who drafted you and saw something in you that you didn't even think you had.
Yeah, he took a chance on me when I honestly didn't think I had a chance at an NFL career, and basically taught me a lot of what being a professional was. Put me with a great group of guys, and James Hasty, Mark McMillan, Dale Carter, Reggie Tongue, Jerome Woods, alongside Derek Thomas, Chester McLaughlin. We had a lot of great players out there on that squad, and it's unfortunate to see him battle the disease that he was battling with, and finally come to an end on Monday. So it was heartbreaking to see, heartbreaking to post. Great guy, great coach. I think they said he was out of his 21 years of coaching. He had 13 winning season, maybe 13 playoff appearances. Just couldn't get to the big dance. And I know he had a great team that I thought that they had a chance to win it all when he was with San Diego. And because of one play, the guy had an interception. Instead of just downing the ball, he ends up fumbling. And that's what cost him that season on that one. But, Marty's a great coach. He's mentored and helped a lot of great players and coaches in this league. So he will truly be missed.
JD, did you know Marty?
I did, actually. So, when you come out in the draft, Marty wanted to draft me. So, you kind of fly to the teams that really, have a lot of interest in you. So one of the teams when I was coming out in the draft was Kansas City. And so, I met Marty there, of course, at the combine, talked a lot with the staff, just talked to Marty and himself. Marty was such a gracious person, such a good coach. And he would always have just these wonderful things to just, kind of tell me, when I was just going against him. So I played against Marty a lot. But I would interact with him when he'd come back to Kansas City. I would see him, around the stadium or something. I would, hey, Marty, Jason, how you doing? So it was always that. Or San Diego, he would just come and it seemed like and I'm sure he did it to a lot of guys, but he would always come to me, hey, Jason, how you doing? He's like, man, I always wanted to draft you. You just had an attitude over here that I liked. I wanted to play. So it was a lot of mutual respect, man, with Marty. And I think the last time I seen him, I think it might have been maybe one of the Ring of Honors, that he came out.
Yeah.
When he first got diagnosed, and he was kind of, when they had told me, but he was still there. Hey, Jason, how you doing? Yeah. So I was like, wow, maybe, if it's just the beginning or, so it's just unfortunate. Just a wonderful coach, man. He just a hard competitor. Everything you see about him, man, is what you wanted in a coach. And he got everything he wanted to out of his players. And everybody respected him. I never heard anybody speak ill of Marty, ever. And I know he's just well respected in the entire NFL. One of the greatest coaches to ever do it, no doubt about it. My hat goes off to him. I was just so sad to hear the news of it, because every time I see Marty, it was always pleasant conversations with Marty. It really was. Just a lot of knowledge there with him that will be missed, sorely. So, just prayers, man, and blessings for his family. It's always a hard time when you lose someone, but, Marty, man, was a great one for sure.
Yeah. And then another, it was in a lot of ways, it was a sad week for the NFL and for a lot of longtime Chiefs fans and Chiefs players, going from the Super Bowl loss and then the Coach Schottenheimer passing away. And then the following day, a former Kansas City Star beat writer, Terez Paylor, I actually got to know him a little bit virtually when I was in college. I was in journalism school. I actually reached out to BJ Kissel, another Chiefs writer, and also Terez Paylor in that time. And, just reaching out, like I reached out to you guys. I didn't think you guys would respond to me. It's just one of those things. You don't think these people that you look up to are going to respond to you. And like you guys, Terez did reach out to me, said, hey, man, anything I can do to assist you as you go through journalism school, I'd be glad to help. And over the years, we just talk football DMs and stuff, and he would actually respond. And I wouldn't think a guy like that would respond to just a fan talking about football. And then the last time I spoke to him was in November when him and I were talking about this show. And he said it was awesome. He had seen a couple clips, and he was actually going to come on in the offseason to speak with us. And just a guy who has so much on his plate, so many things to do. The fact that he was taking his time out to reach out to a kid in college says a lot about him. And if you go through Twitter timeline, so many stories about Terez Paylor, how good of a guy he was. So I want to send out our condolences and blessings to his family.
Yeah.
But did you guys ever get to meet him?
I never got to meet Terez as a young guy. I think he was only 36, 37 years old.
Yeah.
They didn't post what happened, but I think it was a heart attack, some sort of issues like that. But yeah, I think I had one conversation with him, Twitter wise. Never got to see him when I was in Kansas City, but very wise, upbeat, kept, wrote professionally about the squad, had great takes on football. But yeah, it's just sad that, especially at that young of an age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you're young and sudden, but yeah, I never knew him. And I guess probably really the first time I heard about him was through you, Marcus, kind of talking about him somewhat. But I know he was extremely light. I know that kind of, following, like looking over the Twitter and, talking to people and anytime, man, like you said, when somebody's so young and it's taken so sudden, man, it's even, deeper of a loss, you really just don't expect it. You just don't at that age. And yeah, man, we just hope for and pray for his family, that everybody just, have the peace and whatnot to deal with this situation with him. But yeah, our heart goes out to him for sure.
And actually, one of his last posts was about the Super Bowl, and it was kind of the recap of it, and that's what the show's about. But this week, obviously, we lost 31-9 on Sunday. I know a lot of us everyone on the show was wrong last week. I think we went 0 for 4, all of us last week, just in predicting us to win. But what were you all most surprised about? Obviously, the loss was a surprise, but what were you guys most surprised about during that game on Sunday?
I know JD talks about the offensive line a lot, and yeah, they absolutely did not show up. I know we talked with every single person thinking that, as a offensive staff going in with a depleted line, we had a good enough, smart enough coaching staff to figure out a way to give Mahomes time to get rid of the ball. And we will come up with some sort of a scheme to where the pressure wouldn't be as crucial as it turned out to be in the game. But me, in my opinion, man, and I may be, what Dante called me the other day, something biased towards the team. But then I've been around a lot of football, seen a lot. I think I know a lot. For Tampa to not have as good of a secondary as they displayed this year, we all know that Tampa's entire defense is based on their front seven. That's it. We've, as an offensive team, we've seen a lot of cover 2. Hasn't been an issue. We've had a lot of pressure on Patrick. Hasn't been this big of an issue. I feel like, to me, something internally was going on with the team. Maybe they went in too overconfident because of the way we beat Tampa in the first game. We just automatically thought we'd win because we were the better team. We thought we'd come back in the fourth quarter because that's what we had been known for. I just felt like the team just wasn't in it from the start. Offense, defense, special teams. They just weren't in it for whatever reason to me. I didn't see anything that told me that they're ready to win this game on this day. Either with Patrick making the crucial plays. I mean, even on the plays that they said that the guys would drop. I mean, it was going through somebody else's hands at times, and those are hard to time and catch. And so I understand that. Yet, the ball should have been caught still. But to me, again, it's just I don't think that Tampa's defense is that good to shut us out from a touchdown. There hasn't been a team in the last few years that Patrick has been a starter quarterback that a team has shut them out at any time. Yes, we've had issues throughout this season of getting scoring in the red zone, but we're not going to go an entire game without scoring a touchdown. And I just feel like something, I know Patrick made the comment that we didn't make adjustments. We didn't make the right adjustments. Mm-hmm. But still, Tampa Bay's not that good of a defense. And then you take your head off to Tom Brady. Excellent career, and he played a good game. He played well enough for them to win. He's pretty much put the staple on his situation of his status of being the GOAT. And we can't argue that. But to have a shutout, I don't think Tampa's defense is that good. And that's what they gave us. They came out with the victory. But overall, it's saddening and it's frustrating to see how they played and to see the outcome of that game. But take your head off to Tampa and their staff, offensively and defensively.
JD.
Woo. Okay, so there's a couple of things, right? I had to say. So I'll address the question in itself first. So what surprised me? So what surprised me more than anything else is us not able to score a touchdown, just not able to score. That was really surprising to me. It really was. But I know E's saying that Tampa don't have a great defense, but they do. I'm telling you, what they've done in the last 7 games, they have
Tampa has a run defense, JD.
No, but listen to me.
I'm listening.
Because and plus, you got to realize this, okay? If you know what our strength is, right? Todd Bowles does a great job. He's a great defensive coordinator just in himself. I mean, through his history throughout the league, man, he's always been good at what he does. And so what he was able to accomplish the first time you played him, you weren't going to be able to do it the second time. And Tom made sure of that. So it wasn't just they just ran cover 2. It was like cover 2 man under. So you could see how they was just doing it. They changed up a lot of the things that they did. And so what they did, they learned. They adjusted. And like Patrick said, they didn't adjust. You could tell they didn't adjust the second half. And so there was a lot. I say this. Sometimes chaos, how things work, it was almost like a perfect storm for Tampa to win this game. And I'm going to say this. Because of the front 7, right? You know this as a DB. If you got guys and horses up front that's coming after and just creating pressure, I think they pressured him 29 times. That's crazy. 29 pressures? And he didn't even run. He didn't even, really run a lot of, blitzes. So all they did is just sit back. He got linebackers who could drop back in zone, right? In spots, and they could cover underneath. And so what they did at the line of scrimmage, they beat up Travis Kelce at the line of scrimmage, right? Took him out the timing. And so all they needed was like, look, as a DB, you say, look, just if you could get this guy doing something different in 4 or 5 seconds, if you knew you had that every single chance, what would you do? You feel a lot better as a DB, right? If you had to really just cover a guy by 4 or 5 seconds, okay, before he had to change up his route. And so that's all they did. They made sure you didn't beat him over top. They weren't going to get beat like they did the last game. You weren't going to beat him like that. And so what they started to do is they wanted you to regulate, run the football, which we didn't do, right? Or the same thing we was talking about earlier in the year. They don't really have short passes or quick passes. And so when you do that and you're thinking about stretching the field vertically, okay, because that's what you did the last game. Tyreek goes for 200-some yards, right? First half. You're just like, that ain't going to work the second time. So, but what they say, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. They weren't going to let it be shame on me the second time. So that was, to me, that was the issue. And they knew that they didn't have the offensive line was just put together. Look, I don't care what type of scheme you put together for an offensive line. If these guys haven't been in those positions all year round, it's hard to put something like that together in within 2 weeks to be effective, especially against guys I'm talking about. These guys are one of the top pass rushers in the league, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. And so when you're seeing that, as a defensive coordinator, I'm saying, look, all you had to do, look, this guy right here hadn't started. They just moved him over from right guard. He hadn't really worked in space. This is your game. So it's all you had to do is cause pressure. You know what I did? I went in and I watched this film, and I just watched the offensive line, and I watched the defense, what they was running coverage-wise. And I'm sitting there, I'm just going through the timing. I'm like, wow, geez, oh my gosh. He had no time. So part of it was him not having the time to throw the football, them not getting open, to get the ball to him. And so it was a lot of that. So they didn't score. But Tampa Bay's defense, man, look, they showed up. They did it to Aaron Rodgers. Same thing. Come on. They shut Aaron Rodgers down. Sure, they did it
They did that to Aaron Rodgers mid-season of the season, like in the season game. And then they did it in the playoff game. I get that.
Come on, man. Come on. And we know how Green Bay's offense was too.
Green Bay only has one player, Adams. Let's be honest.
What? The running back? Come on now.
No. What's his name? Devontae?
Look, they got
17.
First off, they got Tanya, the tight end, who was ranked third. I think he was third or fourth in the league, tight end wise. I don't know if you know that or not. Okay. Plus, he had Lazar was another receiver. They got weapons up there at Green Bay. So
Green Bay has one go-to guy. Let's just be honest. That's it.
Look, they say they have one go-to guy.
They did the job they needed to do. I'm not going to argue with that. They did the job they needed to do.
Exactly. I say this: if you look at the defense for the last 4 games, you'll see how they just was shutting people out. Man, they was coming after people, man, and Ty was just playing a defense that they needed to play, and they just played better. They got better when they first time that we played them. They did. They got significantly better.
I'm not arguing that. They're a good defense. They are not a shutdown Kansas City type defense.
No, don't need it.
Care
right.
How many weeks you
look. I'm saying, but you don't need that right now. All we need is one game.
It's the biggest game of your career.
Absolutely. So if I'm telling you right now, we're not going to let you beat us over top. You're not going to beat us deep. Okay, we're going to get our linebackers who can run, who are probably the fastest. Devin White is one of the fastest guys out there linebacker in the league, period. And then all of a sudden, when you're sitting there, you hitting Kelsey at the line of scrimmage, that's throwing on timing. So everything that you're trying to do.
Like out of all these years, no other team has thought to do that. So you mean to tell me out of all these years, we haven't seen that type of defense?
If you have, like I said, the perfect storm, right? Your offensive line don't have the time and they can't hold up. I mean,
that's why I say the perfect storm played into everything. I think it was something internally within our team, within our coaches. I even think that what's the quarterback? Not the quarterback. Andy Reid's son situation played into it. Like all mentally, everything boils into this game. So yeah, you're right. Perfect storm.
No, absolutely, and that was part of my point. But to say that the defense is not that great is I disagree with that.
Okay,
I'm just looking at the stats. I'm looking at the stats and I'm looking at the game, how they play.
They are the number one run defense.
Okay.
Every team, the Golf sat there and torched them on offense when they played them. Because their secondary is not good.
Right.
So that's known. We knew that. Everybody, the entire league knew their secondary wasn't that good.
So
that's their weak point.
But
they play cover 2, man under, or whatever. That's their weakness.
Jared Goff, has 3 running backs. He has, 3 wide receivers. He can throw the football to all the guys. And it's the same thing, right? But you play a team twice. So when you play a team twice, like I said, shame on me the first time, second time, shame on you, shame on me. Second time we play, look.
JD, I get that. I'm not going to argue that. You're not going to shut down the Kansas City offense.
And if you don't look, I'm going to say this, all right? I don't care what offense you run. If you don't have time to throw the football, I don't care who you have back there, period. I don't care who it is. So you can say how good the offense is, and the offense is good. But if you don't have time to throw the football and you're being pressured 29 times, I don't care who you are. You see how Patrick was running for his life. He was throwing balls over his shoulder, falling down, trying to man, come on, man. It just – and I get that. What they were trying to do, it was, like I said, a lot of it because, we didn't want to talk about the whole thing about trying to fly out there at the same time. Everything was different for the Super Bowl, right? Usually go down for a week before.
As an observer, I even question why Patrick takes off running so much. So like, I think that, to me, it all like plays itself into the, like you said, perfect storm. Mm-hmm. There's so much of this game that's just so screwed up to the points where it's like,
I agree.
We understand, because we talked about this earlier in the shows of the season, that we don't like throwing slants. We don't like to take the 4 or 5 yard routes and try to pace our way down the field. We want chunks. We want the big play. So yeah, we don't do that. That would keep people from like having to put so much pressure on Patrick, because we always want to go for the home run throw. So if he doesn't see that, then he's going to get out the pocket. So we do that. And I think that even with him, he wasn't 100% there. Everybody's saying that, he had to do this all by himself. A lot of those yards came because we were already down. Kelsey picked up a lot of those big chunk yards to add to Mahomes' stats, later in the game, to where, we were like desperation.
It don't matter unless you get in the end zone.
I get it. So I'm not, as I said in the text message with us, as an overall team, we just weren't there. Tampa's a good team. Can't take anything from it. They are Super Bowl champions. They played excellent for this game. To me, I felt like something internally was going on before and during this game. Maybe even after the game that they're not even quite saying. So whatever it is, it showed. Because on offense or defense, even special teams, we look crappy.
Well, minimal mistakes, right? Minimal mistakes. And like I said, everything was, and it is the chaos of it, everything was different. Usually the team would be down there in Tampa the week before, right? You don't have to worry about traveling and whatnot. And to be honest with you, because I didn't even know until I found it. I'm like, why is he driving on Thursday? Like, aren't they down there? I just assumed they'd be down in Tampa. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even check to see, just because that's the way that you do things anyway. That's just operation of things. And so I know they played into a big part of it, right? But the thing is, within the scope of those things, like, you still had to say you had to play, right? You still had to play with the bad offensive line. You still had to play with, maybe these guys. Look, and I know you're secondary guy, but look, the guys back there. Okay, I can't think of the two. Whitfield, safety, was he's good. The corner's pretty good.
I'm not taking anything.
Yeah.
But
come on, man.
Well, they said the other safety, Jordan Whitehead, wasn't 100%. They were surprised he was going to play the full game. They thought they were going to have to check him out.
Hey, you know what? Hey, like you said, one game, right? Go on, get that vitamin T for the game. Okay, Pat got one for his toe. So, and I get it, man. Everything was going on. My shock was them not able to score, but also too, you had to say, when you have a depleted offensive line, and that these guys are, the best pass rushers in the league. Okay, that's a bad combination. It is. I don't care who you are back there. That's just tough.
Yeah, and I agree with both you. Where Eric, you were saying that's not a good secondary. The defense, it's not a good secondary. Look at the first game of the playoffs, which you could argue this team probably played the hardest, was the Redskins. They had their third string quarterback or fourth string quarterback coming there, and he took him to the end of that game. And that also goes to your point, JD. Redskins have a really good offensive line, so they were able to protect Heineke. Heineke had time to exploit that defense. So I agree with both you guys here. But okay, so we're going to go to our next concern. Eric, you kind of alluded to this, and this was kind of a topic last week. And if you watch any First Take, Undisputed, any of the national pundit shows, this has been a big topic for them this week. They've kind of run with this one, is that now Tom Brady is the GOAT. Patrick Mahomes will never catch him. He'll have the 7 rings, and Mahomes won't catch him. It's solidified that Brady's the GOAT. They finally get their MJ versus LeBron argument now, and I'm sure the national pundits love that. But it's not likely. But is it possible that Mahomes catches Tom Brady?
You never say never. That's the word that you're supposed to, not use, because anything's possible. I don't think anybody ever saw Tom winning 7. They never saw Tom winning 6. And once things started to fall into place, you figure the rhythm of you get in rhythm of things. And if this organization can stay within itself, front office and team-wise, to keep the players, you won't be able to keep all the players together. Contracts come, aging comes, injuries come, things happen. But if you can keep the rapport with coach, quarterback, as it's been with Tom and Belichick, to where that quarterback has gotten to the point to where he can basically make his own calls. He sees more of what he's seen in the past to understand the game a lot more. Because Tom is on a whole nother level mentally when it comes to 2-minute drives and big game plays. He understands and he's seen way too much to be in those positions where he's always he's got an 80% chance of winning in those situations. So if we can keep that situation, and I don't know how much longer Andy's gonna coach, but having that rapport quarterback coach is very, very big, and also player wise and building around those players. That's why Belichick and Brady were able to bring in, and you have big name players on the offensive side, and you're able to get rid of some players and just bring in whoever and still be successful. Patrick still has that. He's very young, very talented. I still think he's, the best quarterback in the league. And so, yeah, he does have a chance. I would never say he never has a chance at it because he's so young and he's so talented. It's just a matter of what the front office builds around him.
JD?
So I'm like E. You can never say never. Is it possible? Absolutely. It's absolutely possible. It's going to take a lot of things to factor in, of course, for him to become that. So sometimes we look at, the greatest and, being the GOAT, it's not necessarily rings in itself, because then also you have to look at performance, right? And so I think number wise, if Patrick could get to, and that's always the Bron and Jordan thing is, well, how did he shoot in the fourth quarter, right? How many points did he, how many assists did he have? And so you start looking maybe at Patrick's stats, and you start looking at, his stats, but you start looking at the people around him. And so we had to think about also too, look, Tom, yeah, you say he's a GOAT, but Tom had a lot of help. He had great defenses up there in New England around him. And here for this Super Bowl too, man, look, he had a staff around him, offensively. Come on now. We're talking about Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronk, Bray. We had Jones or Fournette. We had AB. So he had weapons around him, and it was the perfect time for him to do it. But Patrick in himself, I think if, like you said, if he could keep the core group of guys around him and just kind of give him some help, he's going to get the ball to whoever it is that's running the ball, who's out there. I mean, that's just what he does best. I think the main thing that you had to always do, as we've seen in this past game, is find somebody to protect him. If you can protect your investment, like we said, man, $500 million, you got to protect that. I don't care what you do. You got to look
100%. It's just like I was speaking about earlier, the way the professional sports is going, because you saw it with James Harden. He wants to go team up with super team. I think everybody in this league has seen what Patrick is capable of. Even during this game, the Super Bowl, you had players from Tampa Bay was talking about how good of a player he is. Like, he's magical, man. How does he do that? There's going to be guys that are going to want to team up with Patrick to accept less money to go and play at Kansas City or wherever he's at. So I can kind of see that happening just because of how but pro sports is becoming, let me build a super team. I'll take less money to go to try to get a ring because I know he's got that talent. Right now, that's a possibility.
Yeah. I say, keep getting him, like I said, somebody protect him, get him some help, have a nice, a very productive running game behind him. But it's never too late. Like you said, man, he's 25 years old. I mean, he really is. So, I mean, he's got it. And here's the thing, though. Let's just say he plays as long as Tom does, right? Or even if he's 40, that gives him, 15 years? So 15 years, if he's doing until he's 40, that gives him plenty of time. So, I just, look, Tom is the GOAT right now. Before everybody had that moniker, oh, you the GOAT. Well, then there's always somebody coming along. That's just how the things go. So, yeah, it's too early to say that, not to catch him. I just think that would be silly to make that statement.
Yeah. And on that note, as far as, guys taking less money to go to certain teams, it's that they said that the salary cap's not going to go up this year. It's going to go up next year. So they're saying guys like Allen Robinson could take a 1-year deal just to get a ring this year. And then after next year, get his big contract when the salary cap goes up. I mean, you could see a lot of guys coming over this year is making, taking 1-year deals to play with Patrick. Okay, and that does kind of lead us to our next question, and that is, what do the Chiefs need to do to get back to a third Super Bowl?
I mean, I think it's obvious we got to rebuild. Well, I don't say rebuild, but, rebuild the offensive line. We have to put somebody in the trenches to where we protect what we have. You got to protect the investment. And so I don't know if you rely on the guys that are injured and think that, they're going to come back the way that they left off, or you just start fresh and you see what's in the free agency market and you try to draft somebody that's a stout player in the draft. But right now you got to, hit that offensive line and find you a pass rusher. Right now it's a lot of health. It's health issues that's hurt us. Even on the defensive line, we lost Taco, and I think we lost somebody else that was having a pretty good year within the defense. And all of a sudden, offensive line starts to fall off. So we just had a lot of key guys. I wouldn't say key guys, but a lot of crucial guys to go down right before we needed them. So yeah, I think we definitely need to hit the offensive line and look at finding another pass rusher.
So I think one of the things you have to necessarily do is, and I've said this offensively, is you have to have an effective running game. And part of it is the offensive line, but also too, if you're hanging your hat on just passing the football, then, it don't always bode well for you. And I had to say, and I'll look this stat up, but I'm sure probably the last 10 Super Bowl winners, they was probably top 10 or 15 in rushing. I'm saying they probably had to be at the top of the list, as far as what their rank was offensively. And so offensively, you just got to do more things to take that off, because if not, teams they're gonna take his formula and they're gonna say, you know what, these guys are fast, but let's just sit back in coverage. Let's not let these guys beat us over top, because we know they fast. But if we don't let them just get passes, let them push the ball underneath, right? Keep it in front of us, and we'll just play that way. Okay, let's just have Patrick and nicking on dimers. Don't let him, give it the big plays, because that's how we was living, big plays. So that would be offensively. Defensively, same thing. Yeah, I agree with you. Got to get another pass rush. Maybe get Chris Jones some help on the inside. Somebody else can push that pocket a little bit. That way you can kind of give him some plays off if he needs to. So it keeps everything fresh. Just kind of doing those things. And I tell you, we got to get a little bit better, man, covering tight ends. We've had I watched this whole entire year. Anytime we go against a good tight end, we always have issues against a good catching tight end. So we got to hold up on the outside with the defensive ends too. Good pass rushers got to do a much better job. But if you do those things, I think we're going to be all right to go in the right direction. So yeah, that would be the key thing. Offensive line, great running game as far as instead of staying just with the pass. Defensively, get that front line a little bit better than what you have it now.
Yeah, I think CEH another year in the system. Especially in a year, you got to commend the kid. In the Super Bowl, he goes 8 for 64, averages almost 8 yards to carry. And then just a year with no training camp. I mean, no preseason, and he comes out and does this. I think he's the sky's the limit for him. And then
I agree.
And then Damian Williams comes back too. I mean, that's great.
And we screwed up big time because throughout the season we kept talking about how he would fill in, and I forgot that he had held out because of the COVID stuff. And that's was it Darrell,
yeah.
Well, yeah. So it was a whole different Williams that we had playing that actually filled in, and we were just saying, oh yeah, could have been a Super Bowl MVP. He could line back up out there, but he was a whole different guy. So I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of YouTube commenters comment on that. But the thing was that Darrell Williams did actually. I mean, there was contemplation that he actually wasn't going to opt in for the season too. So there was also that added confusion there too.
Yeah.
So our next chief concern is something that I think that there's a lot of Chief fans out there who I saw. Where after the game, I was one of them. Just didn't even want to. I couldn't watch the press conferences after the game. I was done with it. You guys have been a part of some playoff losses that, as a kid, I was depressed, and I'm sure everyone was kind of saddened by the losses. What kind of message do you guys have for Chiefs Kingdom to kind of pick them up after a loss like that we had on Sunday?
I mean, everybody's frustrated right now. Everybody's frustrated and emotionally torn because of all of us. And I think I can speak for all of us. None of us saw this game happen the way that it happened. So this is a complete shocker. And we know exactly what we have in a team, especially we know the person that's running this team with, as far as the helm of the team is with Patrick Mahomes. We know what kind of a playmaker he is. And so none of us expected this game to turn out the way it did, offensively, defensively. But just be confident that next year, we will at least be in the playoffs. I think we have the best shot of any other team of being in the Super Bowl. And I guarantee you it won't be played the way it played this past weekend. I don't know who we're going to end up playing against, but I feel very, very comfortable saying that we have a good shot of representing in the Super Bowl with some unfinished business.
Yeah, come on now. You just got to be encouraged, right? I mean, we still got the best quarterback in the league. No, bar none. It's not even close. So if you got that guy right there at the helm, not to mention the enemy stays for another year, right? He didn't go coach anywhere. So people kind of got that little selfish part of him. Like, hey, the enemy's back for this year, and he's still at the helm at the moment. So look, be encouraged. This was an anomaly, of course, this past week, man. Like I said, it was chaotic all the way through. But I think they're going to fix some things around here, man, this offseason and evaluate the team, which you should do. But, man, look, we went to the AFC Championship and 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Ain't a lot of teams can say something like that. And it's a great conversation to be in. So when you sit there, you're thinking that, be encouraged because, each and every time when you have these guys put together, this team, man, you got a shot. You got a shot to win it. And so I think it's going to be like that, man, as long as you keep doing the right things. These guys, like you said, bar injury and all those things, still going to be in a position to go back to the Super Bowl. So, look, I just tell Chiefs fans, guess what, man? Get your popcorn, just get ready, sit back, enjoy your team, watch them play, and look for another road to the Super Bowl next year or this year, whatever, so absolutely.
Yeah, I think we're at that point now, which is something that a lot of Chiefs fans aren't used to it. They're used to, Alex Smith getting us to the round 2 of the playoffs, and that being like the kind of the max, and like, oh man, like we're not going to get there ever again, because there's a chance we weren't going to get to that spot again the next year with Alex Smith. With that now with Mahomes, it's like, okay, we're getting to that point. It's Super Bowl or bust. I mean, or just like that's just one of those things now. That's what it seems like. Which the fans got to think about themselves as far as where we were 3 or 4 years ago. Like point now.
Success,
it's
man.
Different.
Yeah, success. When you get success like that, man, it just makes you more hungry for more. That's what it is. And so you get spoiled, like, hey, God, we didn't win the Super Bowl. So now the expectations are high. Every year it's going to be like that. Yeah, absolutely. And just want more.
And I hate, I won't say I hate because I always do it. I go right back to making that comparison to Golden State. It's kind of the same way Golden State's up 3-1, and Cleveland went in there and won that championship on Golden State's home court.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like those fans were shocked. Like, we didn't expect this to happen. It's like us, we didn't expect this to happen. But then you also, as a Golden State fan, you got one player that's going to pretty much have you in the playoffs every year. It's going to make every game exciting. Steph Curry again.
That's right.
We have that same exceptional player in Patrick Mahomes. And so we have that same feeling, that trust that he's going to get us there. And just like with them, they have injuries. They ended up not winning. Whether you want to blame Draymond's ejection, so whatever players we had hurt, we just didn't win it. But Golden State knows what they have at the helm of that ship, and that Steph is going to get them there. Right now, he's doing it by himself. We know we have Patrick Mahomes. He's going to get us there. We're happy about having that. We're excited about that. We're always encouraged that we got that one player. It's just a matter of when that time comes, how well is our team put together health-wise to get us to the big dance again.
Yeah, it was funny because when you start seeing teams have success, it was like when we went up there, went touring up in Ohio or Indiana a few weeks ago, and I just seen a lot of Cleveland Browns fans hats. I'm like, where these jokers come from? It came out the woodworks. So it was good to start wearing the clothing again. Just put on the jacket, put on the hat. Oh, you a Browns fan now? I see. Okay, now you stepping out the shadows with it. I got it. Hey, I understand it. So, hey man, look, it's like I said, it's great to be in a conversation when teams. You are the barometer. Everybody's trying to shoot for you. That's a great position to be in. Yeah.
And as players, I know as fans, we all get so, and obviously now you guys are on the fan side of things. When you guys are players, when the season ends like that, I know you guys never got to a Super Bowl, but when the season ends in the playoffs like that, like, is it something like, are you guys like, I think a senior night in my high school, my last high school game, I remember all of us sat in the locker room and kind of like teared up and cried. And obviously it's a little different from high school in the NFL, but would you guys get that would some guys get that emotional after when like
heck yeah. So I had that in college. I ended up winning quite a few championships in college, and we were, to me, by far the best team to ever play college football. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. And we had the one season to where we lost to Texas in the Big 12 championship. That hurt. Like that. We ended up losing 2 games that year. We lost to Arizona State in season game, I think the second game of the season, and then we ended up losing to Texas in the Big 12 championship. We didn't expect that because we just won a national championship the year before that, 2 of them. So we're just thinking that these are going to be cakewalks, and it ends up we end up losing, and it's like we got unfinished business. We know what we have on this team as far as offensively and defensively, and who's running this ship and Coach Osborne. We got what it takes. We go out there, buckle down, do what we need to do this offseason, get our bodies right, get our minds right. We can win this easily. We went out there and we faced heavily powered Peyton Manning Tennessee team and put the beat down on them. It wasn't even close. But that's because we knew what kind of team we had and who it was run by. So we knew what kind of work we needed in the offseason. We knew what type of players we needed, whether it was 1 or 2 added to what we may have lost. And it's kind of the same with the Chiefs. You know what you got as a team. You know what you have locked in as a team. You know how to get there. You know how to win because you've done it. So you know all that it takes. Right now, you just got to go in, reevaluate what you did this offseason, this past season, and what you need to do this upcoming season to get you back there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a reevaluation. I think everybody does it after the season. You look at, what could I have done better, right? What place could I make better? What kind of sacrifices could I have done a little bit different? And so when you see the team concept of guys like, okay, look, now, because like you said, because of the success, we got to start making commitments toward one another, right? We're going to have to start doing that. If we want to be at the elite team all the time, we got to start making a commitment toward one another. If you're not really winning, guys don't really do it as much. Now you think about vacation, you think about going to Europe, Jamaica, all type of other things, and how much time you're going to have off. But, when you're successful, you're like, okay, we knew what it took us to get there. Now for us to win it, because we didn't get to win it this year. We didn't get to taste it. And we knew we don't like that taste of losing. So now, for us not to have that taste now, guys got to get in here, put all in, and keep this thing going. And so that's a big part of it. Look, the thing is, if you're not a winner at it, it don't really mean that much to you. And so when guys win, and really, guys, it means a lot to guys in the NFL, period. But of course, when you're sitting over there and you got success, that success is one that just makes you hungry for even more because you can see it. It's right there in your grasp. And so if we're so close and you just know it, you just like, look, you know what? We let this one slip away. We can't let any more like that slip away. And I guarantee Patrick is probably making phone calls. Guys are calling each other. I'm sure Travis and Patrick done talked about this game several times. Tyreek, all them guys. Man, can you believe we let this slip away? Well, look, we ain't going to let that happen next year. We ain't going to let this happen next year. So what we're talking about, what we got to do, guys are getting closer together, talking about what, how they're going to vacation. Guys will start vacationing together, so you really can't get away from it. You try to step away from it, but sometimes it's your job. That's who you are, and it's your brothers, so everybody wants to be successful, man. It's a competitive spirit in it. So I know y'all was like it in Nebraska. Y'all was tough. Y'all was. I had to give your hat off to you. I don't know if y'all was great as ever, but I would have to say, man, that was tough. That was tough now.
What?
That was good. Hey.
Man, I've watched a lot of Alabama teams. I watched a lot of this Florida, Miami's team.
Okay.
And even that 2001, when they had all those NFL players, they did not beat up on the team in the championship game. We didn't have it close. None of our games were close except for the Miami game. And we went out and beat up on Florida 64 to 20 something. And then Florida was, that high power throwing almost 80 points on any and everybody. And then it came down to Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
And his high powered offense in Tennessee. It wasn't close. We didn't have close games like Alabama and Clemson and all these other teams. We had blowouts in our championship games. Okay,
so you think with the team that Alabama's done had, you think you ought to blow them out too? It'd have been the same thing, blowout.
I can't speak on what if or what.
Right.
What happened? I just know what we did as a squad. When it was us against the top team in the championship game, we made a statement. We didn't go out and fight for last quarter touchdown or last second stop. We made a statement.
Oh yeah, no, y'all was playing bully ball up there for sure. Yeah,
that's the crazy thing. You knew exactly what we were gonna run.
Yeah, I
just couldn't stop.
Could stop it. Yeah. So, I don't know, man.
Who would you say is the best college team you've ever seen? If you don't think it's Nebraska.
Oh yeah, man, it had to be Alabama. It had to be Alabama. I'm sorry, man. Them guys, when they, the championships they put together with Nick, I'd have to say, man, they've had some really dynamic teams that shoot. And the amount of guys, I just say the amount of guys when I'm looking at the talent too, for the past few years, what they put together, they came out into the NFL. I don't know talent wise.
The best run, I'll go with Alabama. Best teams, I cannot say that. Best team is you go out there and make a statement. Not one of these Alabama teams that have gone out there and won has significantly kick ass in a game. Not one. Maybe last year, this past season. Maybe.
But I had to say this though, E. I think the quality of football has gotten better. Like, okay, you try to run the option against these guys.
I'll take that. Come on now. I'll take that 2001 Miami team over these Alabama squads.
Woo.
You got Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, Jeremy Shockey. You got a whole bunch of boys that came off that Miami squad. Andre Johnson. Willis McGahee, I take them over these Alabama squads.
Oh no, that's good. That's a conversation for a different day. I might have to bring the stats, man. We had to talk about this on a whole different time.
Don't hit Google. They'll tell you.
Wasn't Jeremy Shockey on that Miami team too?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So they had a couple guys on there, wasn't it?
No, more than a couple. They had, I think, the whole team.
Oh yeah. They was tough. They was bad.
Because I think they even had Winslow.
Winslow. That's all I said. They had like three tight ends. I knew it. Yeah, Shockey, Winslow. Who else was there?
Was Portis on that team?
Who?
Was Clinton Portis on that team too?
Yep.
Man.
Portis on two. Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah.
I want to say, what's the man that's still playing the running back? Frank Gore. I think Frank Gore was on there.
Yeah.
Back up or something.
He wouldn't even get no clock.
Now, you got a squad. You got Frank Gore's back up.
Right.
All right. For our final segment, we're going to go do a virtual Chiefs Concern segment. And we got our first guest on tonight. And we'll see who this guy is. Uh-oh. Invaded.
He threw the Raider background in there.
Yeah. That'd be good. We want to see that. We want to see all that, cuz.
What's going on? Look, you see the Raiders background? Okay.
Yeah, we see it. Yeah. What's up, cuz? What's good?
Oh, hanging in there, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. This is co-host, man, Marcus right here. Then, of course, E. Warfield, man.
Hey, man, I hope your last name really isn't Carr.
Yeah.
Is it really?
My last name is Carr, and I'm a real Raiders fan.
I'm not doubting your fanmanship. I was just checking the name out. You got the same name as the quarterback.
Yeah. It definitely came really good in a nice time.
That's crazy.
Enjoy the Raiders, and yeah. What's the toughest team that you played against?
Wait, hold on.
I have to go with. I mean, if you ask the question, I'm gonna go with Indianapolis, just because of the playoff game that we had against them and the results that came out, like there was nothing we could do to stop them, whether they were running the ball or passing the ball. Like, we didn't have a chance. So Indianapolis and having Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James, them boys with Dallas Clark. Who else was out there?
Stokely.
God, what's my man's name from Miami?
Edgerrin
James.
No, opposite of Marvin.
Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had a nice duo out there, and Stokely just out there doing his thing too. So,
and they also had Marcus Pollard too.
Okay.
Yeah, Pollard was nice.
Pollard, yeah.
Pollard, yeah. I remember him.
Being a Raiders fan, being that y'all are second in the AFC West, second best team in the AFC West, what key transition do you think y'all need to get past the Kansas City Chiefs?
We got to get our defense, man. Our defense. I feel like our defense is young. I feel like our defense is young, but I feel like Carr and everybody, like, Carr, like the offense, we did a lot of good, positive stuff to keep us in the game, but our defense, like, took us out. It's a couple games
Abrams is good.
Abrams is good. He's definitely good, and I'm a big fan of him, but
he's reckless, but he's good.
Hitter. He's more of a hard hitter, but, he's not really covering nobody. Hopefully he get better and everything and, like, get a little, like, he develop a little bit better over the years from there. But I do miss, what's his name?
Carl Joseph.
Carl Joseph, yes, I do miss Carl Joseph.
As a Raiders fan, what are your thoughts on the rumors that you guys are interested in pursuing Deshaun Watson this offseason? Is that something you even want?
I'm heard about it. I'm a Carr fan, man. I'm a Carr fan. I'm a big Carr fan. I watched him. I watched him when he was in Fresno. Like, he was a really good quarterback, and something that people don't pay attention to is that I think this is like the second year that he was in the same offense. Like, every year he had a different offense or a different offensive coordinator, different offensive scheme from there. So he never really had a chance to actually develop. And now that he has players around him that's really good on the offense, and he actually has a nice playbook, it's just like now that he's doing okay and he almost had some of career numbers, all of a sudden he's they trying to trade him out. Kind of, it definitely do suck from there. Like, I'm a Deshaun Watson fan, but I pick Carr before I pick Deshaun.
Ooh, that's really. I tell you what, I like Carr, I do, but I think Gruden don't really give him a shot, and I think Gruden, he's destroying him even more, his confidence, because he's a good quarterback. He's got a strong arm, he can run, he's athletic.
You bring up them kind of conversations, you do hurt a quarterback's confidence.
Absolutely, and that's tough. It's tough to be in that position. But I think that Deshaun Watson, man, he's just more talented than
game changer.
Huh? Yeah. Totally different. Yeah, and I think you have that. Now you have somebody who's opposite, who can make plays with his legs and can throw the football. He's got like you said, got the pieces around him, man. I think it just changes things for you all. Offensively. Yeah, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But it definitely plays with a quarterback psyche when like what the possibilities of you being traded out for, potentially what everybody else thinks is a game-changing quarterback. So they don't, what they're saying about you is you don't have what he has. Like,
right.
That sucks.
Yeah. It definitely do. Hey, but if they trade him, man, I don't know about wearing a jersey, whatever he goes, but I'm definitely going to be rooting for him. And I'm definitely going to do a little Tom Brady. If he win a championship, I'll definitely be happy for him if they get rid of him. But I definitely don't want it, but, we see.
Yeah.
We see.
Yeah, when you carry that last name as him, you gotta be a ride or die fan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I
Definitely a big fan of him. I was happy when they drafted him.
if they did trade a Carr to Houston, if they do want to do a swap like that, I think it would be kind of ironic and pretty funny if Derek Carr ends up going to Houston to play for his brother's team.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. But they still don't have no. They still don't have no offensive line. So it's going to be like it's going to defeat the purpose. I know Carr when his brother was in there, they didn't have no offensive line. So I don't know. But if it's a straight up trade, that'd be okay. But they won for Deshaun Watson. They won 2 first-round picks and they want another starter. They want all this thing. They don't want to get rid of Deshaun Watson. That's what it's like. That's how it's looking like. They don't want to get rid of him.
All right, cuz man, I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on, man. Give me just a little bit of the Raiders. All right.
Yeah, definitely. I
ain't no love lost here.
Watch how you said what?
Ain't no love lost here.
Yeah, nah. It's all love and fan war and everything else. I watch our podcast every week. I definitely watch y'all and everything else. I listen to what y'all say. I love the Raiders one. I love the Raiders one when you was talking about the rivalry week. Like it was definitely great. So yeah, I definitely appreciate y'all. I definitely appreciate for having me come on there. So thank you.
That was cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's a cool thing that, with our show, we can not only is it Chiefs Kingdom concerns, but hey, these other teams we're playing against, those are our concerns. So hearing them come on here and fans from other teams come on here and ask questions, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'll I guess me and JD can work on getting some opposing players for next season. Yeah. To come on and just kind of debate, go back and forth with them throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that does it for us, guys. We'll see you next week, where we discuss and we look ahead to the offseason and kind of talk about maybe rumors that are going on there as far as cap casualties, maybe guys that we could be seeing being cut. And then there's also draft and a lot of mock drafts coming out here. I know it is getting close. It is mock draft season now. Season's over. So that's always something to look forward to. To all of our followers, please stay tuned for the weeks ahead as we try to continue our interactive portion of the show by hearing from some of you all. And stay tuned as we'll have some exciting news for all of our Chiefs Kingdom Concerns listeners next week. So as always, if anyone in Chiefs Kingdom has any concerns for these guys, please tweet at us at @ConcernsChief, and please subscribe and follow Chief Concerns on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.